What role, if any, did Benedict Arnold play in all of this? I know he became embittered later and decided to change his loyalty to the British
Yeah.
Crown. Did this have anything to do with that?
I don't, well, I mean, there was a lot of, I mean, Will could speak to Benedict way more, better than I can, but I believe there was a lot of things that got under his skin. And part of one of the things I believe was that some of his accounting, the Congress didn't accept, and so that they didn't.
It was the first federal audit.
Yeah, okay, yeah, and so that kind of thing bothered him, and that was happening probably around the same time. I mean, he spent a lot of his own money on the battle, on the invasion of Canada, I believe, right? So that had something to do with it, and of course, he was a pivotal figure at Saratoga, and which people have said if he'd been killed at Saratoga instead of just wounded, he probably would have gone down as the greatest American hero of the whole revolution. Any other questions? Yes.
What do you think would have happened had the Americans decided to fortify Crown Point instead of independence?
Well, that's a very good question. You know, you don't know for sure. Let me go back to the picture of Crown Point. Here we go. You see this is Bulwaga Bay here. And it really is a wide exposure to the back side of the American defenses. And that was one of the reasons why Schuyler didn't want to stay there. He felt it would be hard, because he couldn't imagine 12,000 soldiers being there, and maybe they wouldn't have gotten there. You know, that's another question. But, you know, he's imagining trying to hold it with 2,500 men. And so it would have been very difficult for them to fortify back here and protect their rear. The other thing that he didn't like about it was harder to get supplies to than down at Saratoga, down at Ticonderoga and Mount Independence. So it's possible they might not have even gotten as many soldiers and as many supplies there as they needed. So, you know, I'm just guessing, but it's quite possible they would have had to retreat from there earlier, but I don't know for sure. Yeah. Yes.
If more of Arnold's fleet had survived at Valcourt, couldn't they have covered the bay while the rest of the Northern Army?
Well, that's a good question. That could have happened. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I don't know if it would have been enough. You know, they didn't defeat those big British ships at Valcourt Island, but perhaps here they would have had cover from land cannon. Maybe it would have made a difference. Yes, sir.
You said your first major important decision was establishing the fort at Mount Independence.
Yeah.
What if they hadn't? What if the decision had been made to agree with Washington and keep the fort at Ticonderoga?
Well, that was.
Sounds like this still would have worked.
I didn't make it clear what the decision was then. The decision was to evacuate Crown Point and go back to Ticonderoga and Mount Independence, not to only fortify Mount Independence, because they did work on the structures at
But what if they
Fort
had forgotten Mount Independence altogether
And just
concentrated on
Ticonderoga?
everything at Ticonderoga?
That's a good question.
We still had Mount Defiance.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think the British might have gone down the Vermont shore, and they might have taken Mount Independence too. But I don't know. I mean, there's so many what ifs in history that makes it really interesting. You know, my favorite what if is what if Sinclair had 5,000 men instead of 2,500 men when Burgoyne came down the lake? Would he have tried to stay at Mount Independence? And if he had, that might have been like some amazing, incredible battle that we would remember, like Bunker Hill today.
There's a wonderful word that historians use when they can't come up with the answer for something except what if.
Yeah.
It's called a counterfactual hypothesis.
Oh, there you go.
I've just heard about 3 of them.
Yes. They're fun.